How you react to things in life can be a key to personal and business success. What does this have to do with financial planning? Find out on today's episode of Friends Talk Financial Planning. Hi, I'm John Shear, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. Our guest today is Darcy Loma, and Darcy's just written a book called Thoughtfully Fit. She's got a coaching practice in outside of Madison, Wisconsin. So, Darcy, why don't you tell us more about Thoughtfully Fit? Tell us what it's about.
Thank you. Great to be here, Bridget and John. I am so grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit about Thoughtfully Fit. It certainly seems like it aligns a lot with your message about being intentional and how you're living, how you're financial planning. That's what Thoughtfully Fit is all about, is being able to handle yourself thoughtfully in any situation. And I have found the book was developed based on years of research, working with clients, doing coaching for individuals, executives, leaders, managers. And I identified these themes. There were 6 themes after years of research of the top struggles and the biggest hurdles that get in the way of being high performing. And so in the book, I outline what those hurdles are and give a strategy on how to overcome them.
That's really great. The history. One of the things I like about the and reading through the book is the history. And this is not something that you came up with or learned in a class, right? It was real life things that you use with clients and coaching and things over the years. And can you give us a little bit of the framework, Darcy, about it? I mean, I can't condense a 200 plus page book into 10 minutes, right? But what are the keys when you talk about thoughtfully fit? Like, what is that? What is it?
Yeah.
What are the steps? Is that a fair question?
Absolutely. So the model, there's 6 practices in the model, and it's a metaphor and designed around when you're physically fit, you have to train and practice. And when you do, every movement is easier. You're not going to wake up on Saturday and just say, oh, I think I'll run a marathon today if you haven't been training. You'd be miserable and you get injured. But if you train and practice, you can do it and it's easy. Well, it may not be easy, but certainly easier. In the same way, Thoughtfully Fit has this training plan and there's 6 practices where if you train and practice to handle yourself when there's conflict, when you're blindsided, when you're stuck, you can get past those obstacles in an easier way. So 3 of those hurdles are internal, where we get in our own way, and 3 of them are external, where we have challenges and obstacles with other people, where our relationships are out of balance, where we react poorly when we're blindsided. And at the core of the model are 3 simple steps. You pause and then think. When you're thinking, you're asking yourself some thoughtful questions. How do I want to show up? What's important to me here? What's triggering me? And then you act thoughtfully based on your new awareness from pausing and thinking. That's the very shortest description, John. I could go on and on, obviously.
Yeah. And it's interesting as we think about the work that Bridget and I do with things, is that one of the things I love about our show is that it's not Friends Talk Money. Somebody else does that. It's Friends Talk Financial Planning, right? And yeah, it involves money, but it's not about that, right? It's about goal setting and those sorts of things. And it seems like there's some real crossover, like goal planning and being intentional about your financial planning and being thoughtfully fit. Is that an accurate reflection of what as you think about financial planning as it relates to thoughtfully fit?
Absolutely. At the core of the model, the essence is that you are being intentional in how you're living and making decisions. And so for you, where that overlap is, when you're financial planning, you're being intentional instead of being impulsive and spending or not making a decision to pay yourself first when you get that raise. You in this model, again, it always goes back to the core. And I think that aligns beautifully. Yeah. Pause and think, how does this, whatever it is that you want to buy, align with my values, my situation in life right now, where I'm going, what my future is, and then you act. there's not a right or wrong how you spend your money and how you choose to live your life. It's about being intentional and thoughtful, and instead of being unconscious or on autopilot.
I really love that. So it's interesting as you were saying that and thinking about that reaction. I've heard you use that word a number of times, and I think about reactions to what's in the newspaper or what's on, on the news feeds, right? What did the market do today? What are interest rates? What are taxes? All those external things. And so much of financial success, as I think about it anyway, is how you react to that or don't react to that. In our case, is a lot of the big thing. And it was interesting, Darcy, to hear you say about making purchases and how you think about buying. And of course, I mean, that's really important. And one of the things that Bridget and I talk about on the show and with our clients is it's not about piling up as much money as you can, right? Having everything that you can have. It's about how do you use that stuff and buy it. And so being interesting that in my head, I'm thinking, oh, thoughtfully fit. Yeah. How I react to what's going on in the financially world. And yet it's also like, yeah, how I react to, on one hand, not making an impulsive purchase, right? And on the other hand, not just hoarding money, but being intentional about how I do that. That's a really interesting connection that I hadn't made before on things.
I mean, and you just gave a beautiful example. So it being intentional, there's some people who are spending impulsively and not saving and paying themselves first. There's others who are saving to the extreme and not finding the quality of life that they can get from working hard and having money. And so again, there's no right or wrong, but it's about being thoughtful on how you want to live your life. So being a miser and not enjoying it maybe isn't also the best way to deal with your money.
As you guys are talking, I'm trying to figure out a gift for someone who's close to me. And I just figured it out because I was talking to this person just yesterday, and you would think I want to buy you a gift. But the person said specifically, I just want to spend more time with you. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what the person said specifically. Like, and so it's like, oh, okay, wake up, I can do that. Like, if I'm actually listening. And for me, Darcy, with your work, it's like, I can think that both thinking and listening don't take any energy. Mm-hmm. Like, I do that when I'm resting. But actually, they're actually thinking for me as an action. Does that make sense? Like, I have to say, okay, I'm going to think about how I'm planning today.
Yes.
Like, I have to think about it. Like, so that it's not just pause. Like, so there's a separate thing. Like, I can get myself saying, okay, pausing and thinking, I do that at once. But actually, if I plan my thinking times, my pausing and my resting is well enhanced. That's what I have to say. I don't know if I just blew your minds or was totally off topic, but anyway, so Darcy, what if people want to find out more about your work and what you're doing? Why don't you tell us more about how they can find out?
Sure. So I'm on all the social media channels. If you search for Darcy Loma, we also have thoughtfullyfit.com has a quiz. So if anybody is watching and says, gosh, what are these 6 hurdles and what are the biggest obstacles? And if you want to take the quiz, it's 2 or 3 minutes. You can find out which is your biggest hurdle and what are some strategies to overcome it. And then if you want to learn more about our coaching, I do keynote speaking, consulting, team coaching. DarcyLoma.com is our website that outlines the services. And there's also our blog, past episodes of Thoughtfully Fit Thursday videos that I do every week. So lots of ways to learn more.
That's so one of the things we like to talk about on our show is action items. And I just heard an action item is is it thoughtfullyfit.com? Is that right? Thoughtfullyfit.com, right. And take a 2 or 3 minute survey to find out where you are. That's going to be on my to-do list with things.
Perfect.
Awesome. So with that, I am Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a family financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. And this is John Shear, and he's in Middleton, Wisconsin. We want to ask people to subscribe. It really helps us with our channel and helps us keep producing our channel.
That's right. And big thanks to you, Darcy. As I'm thinking about our conversation here, I've got more questions. We'll look to have to follow up on this in the future, but thanks to Darcy Loma, author, life coach, consultant. Thanks so much for being on here. This is really great.
Such an honor. And I love what you guys are putting out in the world to help people really be thoughtful about their financial planning in their future.
One
Awesome.
more thing, I don't want to forget to mention ACP, which is a Alliance of Comprehensive Planners. It's a family financial planning group of advisors, a non-for-profit organization. That's how John and I met. And we always like to mention them. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.